So just a quick update before we get started on another job. The electrical system is pretty much finished now, apart from doing all the 12 volt distribution. But what we've got here, the Humsiek 314 amp hour battery, which is performing like a champ, and that is hardwired into the inverter, although this will have a fuse block on it shortly, 250 amp fuse, just to give it a secondary protection. It's got a BMS inside, which gives me a lot of protections, but just in case, just going to add one on there, just waiting for that to arrive. And then, as you know, I've got the DC and solar charger there, 40 amp charger. And then the battery is now connected into the Victron Smart Shunt. That's got 3 AWG6 grade wires running down to it. It's a very short distance as well, so there's more than enough capacity on those wires. And then that Smart Shunt goes off to both the inverter, negative, so that all of the current now flows through the Smart Shunt, so I can measure it. It's Bluetooth enabled. That then also connects to the negative bus bar, and then coming from the negative bus bar, I've got the negative from the solar charger. I've also got a feed coming off it going up to the 12 volt distribution block, and that's about it on the negative. Over on the positive side, I've got the positive bus bar sitting in there. That's connecting to the positive from the solar charger, which then obviously feeds through this wire here into the battery, and also feeds off to the positive required by the Smart Shunt. And then I've got the positive, I think I mentioned that already, it's positive from the solar charger going into it. And then I've connected up to a 50 amp breaker, which now connects to the positive of the 12 volt distribution block. And I did some calculations. Even with the diesel heater running at startup, it's drawing 15 amps. There should be no more than about 30 amp total draw, even if everything's switched on at the same time on the 12 volts. So there's a 50 amp breaker in there just to give me some protection. So that's pretty much it now. Just a bit of fettling now to bring some extra 12 volt wires in. I've got the toilet, I've got the lights, and I've got the water heater, which is a gas water heater, a Truma gas water heater. So that's got 12 volts on it as well. And then obviously a main wire going across to the other side for the kitchen to give me 12 volts into the kitchen there for the fridge. So yeah, it's all coming together, and just waiting now to test it. I've got some strapping to do. I've got the inverter sitting down here close to the ventilation at the bottom there, so it's got plenty of ventilation. I'm going to put a spacer in between the battery and that, and then strap everything down to make sure it doesn't move. So that's where we're up to at the moment on the electrics, and we'll start doing a bit more on the other side now. We'll get some flooring done. See you soon. So you may remember we've got this problem with these cables sitting on the roof. So as the roof goes up and down, we need some way of ensuring that those cables are not going to be damaged for the solar panels. And this is the solution. This is a flexible, it's actually for doors, for running cables on opening doors, but we're going to modify it slightly, make it sure it's the right length, and then run the cables through that. So that's a project for later on. Don't need to worry about it too much at the moment. Sorting this floor out, and I'm going to sort out these doors and just closing everything up on these with some side panels. So that's the job for today. I'll be back soon. So I'm jumping around a little bit today, a couple of small jobs. So I'll just put the front panel in on the battery box, which is going to be carpeted with the 4-way stretch. I just managed to lock my tape measure in there. Anyway, I've got a nice little hole here and a catch at the top just to get it in place. One downside of using such thin plywood, of course, is that the screws protrude through. So I'm just making a couple of covers here, one there and then one across the bottom, which is going to hide those screws and also make the screw fixment a bit more permanent and not likely to pull out. So that's a job for later. So I've got to finish that one up. On this side, I've now boxed in the front of the box down there. That's permanently fixed, it's not opening, because this side here is going to have doors on it, which is going to open out and allow us access underneath there. And as I said, jumping around a little bit. So now I'm looking at the installation of the, I call it a diesel heater, it's actually going to be kerosene. And I need to put it somewhere, the fuel tank somewhere. Now the heater itself is going to go underneath the van. I'm just waiting for the bracket to arrive for that. But this needs to be installed in a place where I can access it from outside. So this I'm putting in here. I'm going to box off this part here, probably. Yeah, I'm just going to box the whole piece off. I was going to think about putting a shelf in there, but no, I might put the shelf in from access from the outside for any bits and pieces. But so this is going to fix in here. So this will be sealed from the inside of the van, so no vapors or smells coming in from that. And then I'll just show you the outside of it, and you'll see how that's going to work. So this is the outside gas locker at the moment. And you can see that's the 13 kilo gas cylinder, and we've already got ventilation here going up to that roof vent. So this compartment is vented, and this fuel system, and I'm going to shorten this, and then this fuel tank here will sit in here, and not too difficult to access, it should be okay. But it means I can fill it in all up from the outside compartment, keeping all the fumes in here, whether it's gas or whether it's kerosene. And that should allow us then to keep everything outside of the van. And then the heater itself is going to mount underneath on a chassis rail. And I'm waiting for the bracket for that to arrive. So that's going to be a job very, very shortly, getting all that installed. It'd be nice if it stayed like this for a while. It's not too cold, but a bit of sunshine as well certainly helps. Right, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so that's how the tank is going to fit in, and it's easily accessible from outside. This is going to get covered across here. This is obviously going to get strapped in properly, and then the feed for this tank goes down through there, which is the vent for the original gas heater that was installed in here. Had a gas heater sitting in this compartment, and when you wanted to use it, you pulled this door open. Don't like that at all. Anyway, this is going to be sealed off over here, so it's completely sealed from the living compartment. Taking the opportunity to clean off and insulate the wheel arch, because obviously this was a heated compartment in the past, and on the basis that somebody might have left this door closed, they couldn't insulate the wheel well, because obviously it would have caught fire. But there's no heat in here now, so no reason why we can't insulate it. So yeah, it's got some thin sound deadening pads at the bottom, and I'm going to finish that off with a bit more of this thicker 20mm. It's equivalent to Armorflex, but it isn't. So yeah, that's how it's all going to work for the diesel heater. So we'll get another bit more of that later on. Bye for now. So a little bit more work done today. So the side panel has now been covered. Ooh, how to focus? Go on. Sorry, there you go. Has been covered in 4-way stretch. They call it carpet. It's not really carpet. It's a fabric material, but it does stretch extremely well. So spray glue, which if I can find it, oh, sorry, unstable camera. That's what I've used. It's a high temperature permanent car trim fix. Came from Amazon. They're about €10 a tin, I think, in the Black Friday deal. So I've got a couple of those. So that's covered down there. Ooh, come back and see it. That's better. And then I've also done the front of the box here and taken it just round the side. So that's ready for the doors to be put on. And I'm doing the door here, which I've just had to make some little blocks, which are down there and one at the top. Sand these down when they're dry, and that's so that the screws, which are a little bit longer than the 5mm thickness of the board, have got something to screw into for the hinges, but that's going to get covered in the same fabric very shortly. So that was that job. And then up in the ceiling, I have now got some quarter round, and I've covered this in the same sticky back material that I've used on the roof. So if I can just wiggle this in place, this will, when it's up there, just finish up that edge nicely along the top there. I was going to do it down the sides, but I don't think that needs it. It's quite a neat join there anyway. So I think that's the next job for tomorrow, is we'll get that up there. And then I must start on this floor. I keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, but the weather's miserable at the moment anyway, so I don't really want to be jumping in and out of the van. So it will get done. It will definitely get done shortly. All right, catch you again soon. Right, so I'm installing the fuel pipe into the plastic reservoir. And I wasn't quite sure how to do this, but I've just come up with this idea. So this is just a piece of wire. I've tied a washer on here so it doesn't slip up and down. And the idea is, if I feed this wire here through down into the hole and then pull it all the way through, this here should hit that and allow me to pull it all the way through. And then I could put the nut on it, and then I could just pull this back through. That's the theory. Let's see if it works. So, as you can see, that has now pulled through to there. So I'm now going to thread on the nut, which is here, and the O-ring. So let's try and do this so you can actually see what I'm doing. O-ring there, then the nut the right way around. Right, if I hold that piece of wire there, theoretically that should now go onto there. I can keep tension on the wire with the washer on the back to keep that in place. Tighten that one on there. We need to push the O-ring down first all the way. There we go. That is on. Now the other end here should now just pull out. Job done. Okay, and there we have it. Just needs tightening up. We'll get this into the van. Okay, idea that finally worked. Catch you later.